Do you remember these? The 10-in-1 coloured pen, the ultimate pen when you were a child. Oh my goodness, I love these. But today I'm going to see if I can make an art journal page using just this. Will it be amazing? Will it be a hot mess? Who knows? Let's start crafting and find out. I got the idea to make this video because I have been working on trying to do some daily sketching. That is a topic for a whole other video. And what I had on me was this 10 colour pen. And I thought, oh, actually that turned out not too bad. Can I develop this further? Can I explore it further? And can I make an art journal page just using this pen? So the first thing I did was get to know the pen a little bit better. I do love a swatch for that. It might seem the most boring thing in the world, but swatching really helps you to get to know your supplies. So I just tried to see how faintly I could make a mark, practiced a bit of cross hatching, got lots of different colours down, and it surprised me just how easy it was to use, to be honest. I really enjoyed doing this part because I wanted to see how the colours mixed together. So it's created this almost like cool tartan. I think that would be cool for another video. We don't do that in this video, but actually watching it now that I'm doing the voiceover, it's like, yeah, the middle section of that before we go dark colours, that would make a really fun tartan. Ideas are forming. Me being me, I end up framing it because I can. And then I decide to kind of put this into practice. It was fine doing that big swatch, but can I actually colour anything using the pen? And this again is a reference to what our art journals should be. We should have messy pages like this. They are a safe place to learn and to develop techniques. So the secret to colouring with a biro is to get really nice light strokes to cover or to colour, but then to develop your depth of colour using a cross hatching technique. So where the shades would be, you kind of cross the lines to make it look darker. And these little swatches with the acorns, I tried different combinations. I tried brown and orange, I tried brown, orange and yellow, and I tried brown and pink just to see what the different colours would end up looking like together. And yeah, I was quite impressed with how that went. We have a slightly bigger image here, and here I got to experiment with greens. With most of the greens, I found that if I layered a yellow, the green and the blue together, I managed to get multiple tones. But yeah, I was quite impressed with how this went. The other thing that I kind of learned while I was doing this is direction. So I kind of had to think about the direction that leaves would be flowing or the acorn would be doing, because you're kind of creating the depth with cross hatching. If the direction of your strokes doesn't sort of match the vibe, it kind of looks a little bit off. So that's one thing I learned. I'm also thinking that this could be like a really fun tool to use when I do mixed media colouring. So I was just experimenting. What does it look like with pastels? How does it work with acrylic markers? How does it work with watercolour pens? What happens when you put water over it? How does it react with alcohol markers? So I've got a little reference page here now that I can use, you know, for future reference. So here we are being brave and we are going to create our first full page using just a biro pen. I love the way that I just completely jump in to full blown colour. So I built up a little scene. I really liked how the acorns looked. I was also filming this on the 1st of September, so it's officially autumn season. I love the oaks and acorns because my grandfather, his name was Oaks, and so yeah, this just idea sort of really spoke to me. So I'm coming in trying to use the techniques that I learnt in doing the swatching section. The other thing is line weight. So another thing is where I would normally put my darker shadows, I was making the line quite thick and then doing the cross hatching out from there. In some of these shots you can really see the cross hatching and the difference that it makes. And I have to say, it was just really fun playing with this pen, having to like click on and off between the colours. That was immense fun. Now, I was a bit unsure as to how this mouse was going to go because of the colour choices that we had and the techniques that we had for blending.
So I ended up going for like almost like the pale blue as like an undertone or an underpainting. Also, sorry about the dodgy angle, I don't know why I'm going further and further off screen. And then I built it up with black. I think the acorn's definitely my favourite. I would highly recommend colour. If you're going to try this, try Little Acorn, because actually they're really easy. You've got the natural cross hatching in the back and the nice round shape. It was a really good place to learn. The grass was incredibly fun because basically we're just scribbling. I wasn't even having to cross hatch at this point. It was just like lots and lots of scribbles, but I created a bit more depth by changing the colour and changing the direction of the cross hatching that we were doing. And here, because it's autumn, as well as having those greens and yellows in there, I also added some browns and oranges. And then finally, with a really light touch, I am just going round with the very pale blue to give the illusion of sky. And I still look at this page now and think, I cannot believe that I have done that with just a biro pen. Oh my goodness, absolutely love it. I'm so delighted with how this page turned out. Although I was aware that I'd kind of gone from 0 to 100 in that and I maybe skipped a couple of steps in learning, so I decided to stamp these girls out here and just like pare it right back now. Let's just learn technique and focus on technique. And so I did a monochromatic colouring, and here I had to really think about light and shade. It's really interesting. I went to an art shop recently and the girl in the art shop was doing a painting, and I heard her say to somebody that colour gets all the credit but value does all the work. And sometimes it's really interesting creating monochromatic pages. I highly recommend doing monochromatic colouring, just because it really makes you have to focus on value. So I was trying to find the darker areas, and I actually really like how this turned out. The other thing about these techniques is that we are creating really sketchy looks using our stamps. Now I appreciate I did draw this image, but I've used it as a stamp. It's great if you've drawn an image and then have your own stamp. It just, you can quickly get the reference down there. This one I had used a technique that Jess Carp used, where I just used blue and red together. And I wasn't as keen on that one, but I did enjoy the process. And as I said, what I was saying was it also comes across as really sketchy looking. Like when people flick through your art journals, it looks hand drawn, because what I'm doing is I'm stamping with a grey memento, so that is like a really light ink, and then I am going over with the Biro pen so it looks hand sketched, and I absolutely love that look. And I think that's the fact that's accessible to all, to crafters and artists alike. I think it's fab and a really fun technique for this. Now I kind of want to play with different mediums. This is the last page we're doing today, and I am absolutely mixing it up here. I am having a lot of fun, and here is where I see it is like, is this a novelty? Is it just fun, or could this be a real art tool? And I have to say, I think I'm going to be sneaking this now into my art practice. So I just put a really quick base layer of colour down on this little scene that I created using the Mad Hatter stamps. And yeah, I put in basic block colour and very basic tone. And then I did lots of splatters and then sprayed it with water. Basically, I was wanting this to look really loose, and I thought the contrast of that looseness with the tightness of cross hatching could be really fun. So again, here is when I'm making those lines more definite. I'm adding that little cross hatching there into the mushroom just to give it a bit of tonality. I found when there was colour underneath that I kind of found that I was more cross hatching with the black than I was with the colours. The colours weren't really showing up as well. But it was a really fun technique, and absolutely love how all of this turned out. And yeah, bit of paint markers in here as well, so we've gone full blown mixed media colouring with this particular page. So final verdict, I have to say this pen really surprised me. It was far more useful than I thought it would be. And I feel like it could be part of my art process. What do you think? Do you think it's a good tool, or do you think it should stay in your school pencil case? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy this, you might enjoy this art video right here.